Hello and welcome to On Point. My name is Nikiko Burnett. The COVID-19 pandemic has had a devastating effect on many people's finances. More than 57 million Americans have filed for unemployment since March. Most have already spent their one-time stimulus check from the federal government. Many have been able to return to work. Still, the Bureau of Labor Statistics says that in October, more than 15 million people were still out of the job or working fewer hours because of the coronavirus pandemic. With many struggling to get jobs these days, Americans have turned to their hobbies, talents, or side hustles into full-time work. We talked to Zamir Hurtte, who has a business doing nails and eyelash extensions. She says business has been inconsistent.
During the pandemic, business has been kind of off and on. It has some good days and some bad days. Some days, like, I have multiple clients. Well, some weeks I have like multiple clients a week, and some weeks I won't have any. It really just depends, I guess, on like the service somebody wants or then like how they're feeling. Cause like I do require that everyone wear a mask when they come see me. They do wear hand sanitizer. They do get their temperatures checked. And I do tell them, like, if you have any kind of cold, like, we can reschedule your appointment. You still have your same deposit, but I won't work with anybody that even feels sick.
There are signs more people are starting businesses during the pandemic. The Wall Street Journal reports more people are filing requests for an employer ID number, which they need to start a business. More than 3.2 million entrepreneurs have applied for one so far this year, compared with 2.7 million at the same point in 2019. Today, we talked with two people that became small business owners during the COVID-19 pandemic. We'll ask them about starting their businesses and steps they're taking to stay safe. On Point's Joaquin has more.
Thank you, Nikiko. With me is Hannah Fields, who works as a lash tech. Hi, Hannah. So I just have a few quick questions for you. So let's start off. You're a lash tech in what area? In the Fontana area, right?
Yes, the IE area. My city base is Fontana, but it's all of the IE Inland Empire.
So first question, what was your previous job and how did it come to an end, if it came to an end?
I currently work at Amazon. I'm a full-time associate. I actually just got promoted to a higher position, and so I work graveyards now with doing lashes on the side on my days off. If I can fit it in on my work days, and I would do that as well. But I'm kind of juggling both of them at the moment.
How did you start your lashing business and what was your process or experience like?
My process was super easy and chill. My cousin actually reached out to me, and she learned herself, and so she was able to teach me and get me certified, and it was actually like really a smooth transition. I was very comfortable even when I was like nervous or sometimes even freaking out or doubting myself. She was very encouraging, and it was a easy transition.
Why did you decide to do what you do for a business? So why did you decide to lash and not anything else?
I was fascinated with lashes, and I loved how they looked, and I just remember seeing, a lot of these new lash tech coming out, and they're like, oh, well, I can make my own schedule. I can make my own money. They travel more, they're able to do all of that extra stuff for the more flexible schedule. So that kind of drew me in more because I want to be able to open up my schedule more for ministry and to travel and for my family and stuff like that. So along with I love how they look. I found a love for them.
What advice would you give someone who is starting their own business during times like this, such as a pandemic?
This is the best time to do it, to be honest. You have nothing but time. I would say to go into it, don't doubt. I mean, the worst thing that can happen is you fail, but you learn so much from it, and just don't give up. And you're going to have moments where you feel like you can't do this, but you know what? Take a deep breath, pray, do whatever you got to do, and get it done. Because the results in the end is the best feeling.
Do you think not having a pandemic would have changed your plans and not allowed you to become a lash tech, or you think you would have just gone forward with it with or pandemic, with or with not without a pandemic?
I think um, I think I would have eventually did it. I think I would have eventually did it. I don't think I would have been doing it right now. I feel like the quarantine did open that up for me, gave me a lot of time, and kind of pushed me more, just because, you know, nothing is like for sure, and you know, you have to do what you have to do. And I felt like during this pandemic is the best time to grow your business and to start it. You have time to actually sit and think and plan and, you know, work hard. You go at your own pace. Like, it's not like a lot of people pressuring you from all sides. Whereas, you know, if we didn't have this pandemic, then, you know, it's so competitive. You know, you can grow discouraged, or you can just get caught up in life, you know, with your bills and just never doing what you needed to do. But this pandemic, I definitely do think it opened it up for a lot of people to start businesses.
Do you think your lashing business has helped you not only financially but in other ways for yourself, like to grow?
Yes, I feel like my lash business is teaching me so much about myself, and it made me see myself in a different light, knowing that I can do it. Each time that I do lashes on someone, you know, I'm getting better. I'm constantly learning, you know, and knowledge is power. And so I think, yeah.
And do you hope for the future? Not only hope, but would you have, what would be your plans if all of a sudden your lashing business becomes your only job and it's like you're fully booked and like it's just covering everything, like you no longer need the Amazon job? What would you do? Like, what would be your reaction to that?
Oh, I would love it. Amazon, I love Amazon. It was paying my bills, but if I can do something that I actually love, that's making me money, you know, I'm getting rich off of it, like, that's great. And with the lash business, it can take you, or beauty just in general, like, it takes you so, like, so many places. And so I would be ecstatic.
Okay, well, thank you for your time. Thank you for joining me.
You're watching On Point. Today with me, I have Juliana Barba, who is the owner of Juliana's Masks. Thank you for joining us here today, Juliana.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So, before the pandemic, did you have a job?
Yeah, I did. I was working in timeshare. And since my job was to go to all the public events like Staples Center, festivals, fairs, all that stuff, it got cut off as soon as COVID started because there was no public events anymore.
Right. So, how often were you working that job? How many hours a week would you say?
It was full time, so I was working around 40 a week. So yeah, I mean, it was how I made my money and how I paid my bills. So yeah, it was a little hard getting laid off, but that's where my mask business came in.
So, what inspired you to really start making masks?
Um, I had always been sewing a little bit, but it was never like a large amount. I knew how to like work a sewing machine because my mom knew exactly how. She like made dresses and all that stuff. But my aunt was, because I started making masks just for myself and my family members, but then my cousin works for a troubled teenage group, like a group home for troubled teenage girls, and there's 30 of them. And since at the time masks were going for, there was just no masks to be found in the beginning in around March. My cousin asked me if I could make them 30, and I did. And then from then on, I started posting them. She posted them, and then people were just asking me, especially because it was scarce. Like, it wasn't, masks weren't easily available like they are now. But yeah, that's what motivated me to start just making those, and then thinking I can make a little business out of this, a little side hustle.
Yeah. So, how much were you charging for like each mask?
So it wasn't, you had to get two because it was 2 for 15 just to make shipping worth it. But yeah, that's how much.
So, did you pay for shipping out of pocket yourself, or did the person buying it pay for it?
No, I paid out of pocket myself, and as well as the materials.
So do
yeah.
you mind sharing like how much you made after like paying for the materials and things like that while you were making these masks for people?
Yeah, I made, if they were just ordering 2 masks, materials weren't expensive at all. I probably made around $10 for both masks, so like $5 a mask.
Okay.
And it would take me around like minutes or 30 minutes ish to make both masks.
You said 40 minutes?
So yeah, like 40 or 30 to make both masks.
Okay.
So it wasn't a something.
Yeah, okay. So at any point did you like break even with your previous pay from your previous job?
I didn't, honestly, no, I didn't break even, but it was a good amount coming in and I was actually pretty proud of it, but it didn't last long because of the market. Like masks are everywhere now. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So it's not as hard to come by a mask as it was before.
Okay. Um, so did this really help you pay your rent or any other bills that you may have had?
Oh, it definitely did for those. I was making masks for like really, really making masks for I want to say like 3 months. So for the first 3 months of the pandemic, yeah, it did. But after that, it's been kind of like an order here, an order there, like random orders coming in. But in the beginning, it was, yeah.
So what was like your main source of marketing? Was it just social media and going through other friends?
Yeah, it was social media. Honestly, it was a lot of my dad's friends because he would post it on, so again, social media, his social media. And yeah, they were hitting me up. And then it was just from that point, it was word of mouth, like, oh, so-and-so told me you were making masks. Can I get a couple? And yeah.
Did you have a lot of like returning buyers, like somebody would purchase 2 and then they would come back to you and buy more? Or was it kind of like a one-time thing for people?
No, I actually did have a couple returning. And I know I had one girl buy for me like 4 times in a row. And because I had like little, I had kid sizes and then also adult sizes. So then all her little nieces and nephews like the Spider-Man masks and the Alice in Wonderland ones, and then she would just ask for more for her family.
Okay. How did you really like figure out how exactly to make the design, how to measure faces for different children or different people?
That was low-key a struggle, only because obviously everyone's face is different, and the biggest struggle was the earpiece. See, at first I was cutting up hair ties and sewing them on so they would be the earpiece for the mask, because I couldn't get a hold of the material because it was hard to come by. And that was difficult only because you had to make it so precise to the point where it would stretch out enough for a face that was bigger. It would be there if that face was smaller, which I had problems in the beginning. And I feel like people just didn't tell me just because they didn't want to give me a hard time. But it later got fixed. Like they would tell me later on, like, oh, they were small. And I would send them like, I would have to cut the fabric larger to accommodate their face. But that was only an issue with those certain type of, with the hair tie ear pieces, because once the really stretchy string came in, it was just a one size fits all, because that earpiece would stretch as much as it needed to stretch without hurting your ears, without it making it come up. So it was a lot of trial and error. It was definitely frustrating because just sewing and sewing and sewing low-key, it's just you're looking at one thing, you know what I'm saying? So it was frustrating, but I ended up getting it once the different material came in for the earpiece.
How long did it take you to really like get the business up and going with the other materials for the earpiece and things like that? Like how far into the pandemic?
About 2 weeks, because I had to wait for that material to come in, but I was just getting so many orders within those first couple weeks. So I had to make them, and I had to ask for measurements of their face. So I would ask them to measure their kid's face, because I didn't want the kid's face mask to be too big and, have extra room. So I wanted to fit just right, and I felt bad because this was an actual paying customer. It wasn't like I was doing them for free or.
Yeah. So do you feel like you spent more time making these masks in order to try to pay your bills than you would have spent at your 40-hour-a-week job making that amount of money?
Um, yes, and I would say yes, honestly, but the upside was that I kind of decided on what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it and what time I wanted to do it. I could get up later in the day, do it earlier, it was up to me. And I guess that was what was rewarding, that everything was up to me. If I wanted to get it done, I would get it done.
Was there at any
But
point where you felt like you were struggling to meet your orders in time?
there was, and it was all in the beginning, just because it was like, I'm trying to think of how many masks I had to do a day. I would get orders, and it would also depend on like the orders. Sometimes I'd get orders of like 10 masks, and I'd always want to ship it the next day, so it got there within 3 days of them ordering it. So that was a struggle of mine, to make sure I was shipping them on time. And I'd be going to the post office every day, and that was kind of difficult too, just because I didn't want to get exposed to COVID and all that. So I started, after a while, I made up a rule saying I was only going to ship Wednesdays, Fridays, and I think that was it. 2 days out of the week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. That's what I had decided. I put it on my Instagram. So anyone who ordered before those days would get shipped on the Wednesday or the Friday or the Monday.
Okay.
So I wouldn't have.
Did you ever have any problems with the mailing company like UPS or USPS, whatever you use? Because during COVID, things kind of slowed down. There was a lot going on with shipping things in time. Did you have any issues with that?
No, I didn't. If anything, I found something useful. If you get in line, if you get in line to ship the masks, it's actually more expensive. But if you do it on the machine and you just make it, I would put them in the envelopes, like I don't know how small the envelope was, but it was small. It was like not the white ones, but the yellow ones. And I would just ship it as a letter, and it was a lot cheaper than shipping it at the front desk.
Roughly how much do you remember shipping was?
At first, it was around $5 or $7, around that. And then once I started using the machine, it was only like $2 per package.
Okay. So now that the pandemic has been like up and down, what have you been doing in the meantime? You said it was mainly bringing you in business at the beginning of the pandemic. So what have you been doing to make money since then?
Since then, ever since the mask business have been dying down, I have been here. It hasn't been consistent, but I've been selling clothes off and on, like selling some pieces or just getting rid of stuff from my closet. It's not paying the bills, but it is bringing in something. Other than that, honestly, not much. I haven't been able to get a new job since the pandemic started, and yeah, that's how I've been making some money.
So,
but other than that, just with school and transferring and all that.
So if you don't mind me asking, how have you been paying? Because I know you live on your own. You're not with your parents. So how have you been paying your rent and other bills that you have?
Unemployment has been a really great help, especially in the beginning when they added the extra amount in. That was a lot of money considering how much they pay now. But yeah, that's been, especially because I don't have too high of bills because I live with roommates, so everything is cut. But yeah, that's how I've been paying, honestly.
Okay. And so have you thought about what's going to happen to your mask making business after the pandemic is over? Like, would you do anything else with it?
If anything, if I were to do anything else after the pandemic, I'd probably just use my leftover material just to make masks and probably give them away, because I just feel like they're so available now. I wouldn't be getting as many orders in, and yeah, but if I do get an order in now, and I have recently, I'll make it. I have no problem making them just because it's kind of fun. Either way, it's like a hobby of mine.
So you said you have recently. Have you seen any other, like an influx in orders in the recent past weeks since California is starting to shut down again?
No, honestly, because I haven't been marketing it as much anymore. But I'm sure if I do, maybe I'll get a couple orders here and there. But yeah.
Do you plan on marketing it again now that things are shutting back down?
I might. I think I probably will, just to make a little more money here, and especially because it's shutting down, gives me something to do.
Definitely. Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much for your time. That's all the questions I have today. Thank you for joining us.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
That's our show for today. A special thank you to Joaquin, Tia Lawson, Taylor Lawson, and Jeannie Rodriguez, who helped create and put this show together. For more information about the show, go to CSUNTVnews.com. For all of us at On Point, I'm Nikiko Burnett. Thank you for watching.